Sardinia. Oh, she must be Italian. No, I'm not. I mean, descendant, yes. Then I say, well, I'm a Brazilian American. Ooh, she's Brazilian. She's got to be sexy.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
got to be pretty. She's got to be, I got to be all this stuff, honey. And I'm like, well, I love myself. It's great. I think I'm pretty. I'm good with myself, honey. You don't have to tell me. But those expectations also, you know, ageism, you know, I'm about to be 50 and people go like, you know, the things that I have to do sometimes to go to an audition, you know, do I look 39? Should I go for the 45? You know, there's this whole big thing around that, the cliches, you know, and I think that we need to keep on pushing because the momentum that the pandemic gave us is unique. I need to acknowledge the deaths because they were horrible. You know, it's a moment in history that we will never forget. But also seeing the other side is that it's a push for everything. I keep saying, like, come on, guys, prepare for the opportunity. That's what the pandemic is giving us. And connecting to all these cliches and these expectations and this whole, you know, who you are and all that, I simply just, like, I kicked the bucket and I said, hey, guys, this is who I am. Okay. Oh, but your agent is not going to like, I'm like, I need to find an agent or somebody that sees me. My last point is humanity. Because when all this stuff, all these biases start happening, all this craziness that we go around the world keep happening, we are losing humanity. We're putting ourselves in a box. And we are not in a box. I wake up as one self and I end up with 5 million, honey. That's me.
Yes, you know, you have a point.
I wake up like, oh, I'm definitely. No, I am another person and another person and another person. You know, and now I'm going to have a cigarette and now I'm going to put my hat on. People don't realize that. And it also is completely connected to Greek mythology. I mean, that's the basis of my theater. So you wake up, you know, you wake up Aphrodite, you may end up being, I don't know, Hephaestus, completely horrible.
Deborah, you have a wonderful, in regard to the universality of what innately is the human condition. I don't think about things about hindrances in regard to types or things like this, societal bias, because for me, sometimes you have to respect what is innately imposed upon a human being or a people as a culture. And societal norms and nuances and intricacies. For example, if I go play in the Middle East, I can't expose my shoulders because that's an insult. Or if I have to sing in a church in Italy, I have to, you know. So there's little things culturally that one has to study, respect. And whenever I do residency somewhere in the world, I actually look on TV. What are people watching? What can I tap into on the daily that's going to make each show different? And separate from the barrier of language, what is the homeostasis of innately what is carried in every single human being on the planet? What are we composed of? So one thing that I also, you know, I don't think about the other things. I see as challenges to connect to people. So when you're just inhabiting a space as an existing creature that resonates with a look, or a sound, a vibration of a sound, just standing there. When I was working with Bill T. Jones's company, the one thing I had to really peep out is how do dancers communicate with no words? What is inflected upon within just the existence of standing in a space and inhabiting a vibration without even speaking, without even moving? What energy just comes across once the boop and you're there and you're like, and the breath. And once you add the breath to just the stance of just inhabiting, to being, whatever that being is, how do you connect to somebody without having to do anything but just being? You know, so that's a timeless endeavor. And before anything is superimposed upon us as human beings, as animals, what is that frequency? And for me, I see it as a challenge within any environment, whether it's a small cafe or whatever. And sometimes you have the barrier of just the Black, because when you're on a big stage, you just have a spotlight. So you have to imagine people there. So you have to look through the light and imagine that you're connecting to someone. So
Jen,
I often find that that's the main challenge globally when I'm out. And back to the Stanislavski thing, it's like hi, like in the sound. What am I connecting to in the resonance of what the chamber of the heart would be for just existing as a human being? You know, and
Jen,
that's
I
where I
love
go.
that. That's
Yeah.
amazing. You know, it's funny when I was thinking about all of us together, and I'm jumping in because of what you just said also about the dancers and the silence. And I forget now which exact question I was thinking about, Kashana, when we were doing that. But I thought to myself today, it's my dancer selves that have both l- been my expression personally, but when I think back to like my early performance successes, they were silent parts. And so also for me, and I am mainly a dancer and a mover, I remember in the 6th grade play, I was a shy kid. I too, Deborah, I've got my shy, very shy selves. And then my performers, well, as a jester, I had no parts and I didn't know, kind of like what you were talking, Ben. It just took over. I killed, and I caught the bug, but I didn't say a word. I just got possessed. And since I'm the court jester, so when someone walked by, I just, without them knowing it, imitated them in things. So it's so interesting. What I'm hearing is where some selves are empowered and some selves are disempowered. But thanks for that, Jen. Absolutely. Selves that empowered me were my silent dancer selves. And there was something about the freedom of not having to speak, not having to like show my resonance vocally. So thank you. And I know, Kashana, you're going to lead us with the last question for today.
Absolutely. So what have you had to do to carve space for your less popular inner selves, right? So what's worked for you and what hasn't? So I'll start. I would say the part of me that's been less popular is I identify as cisgender, but I also feel like there's a part of me that's very much just like a 4th grader, like a non-binary 4th grader, no need to know all the adult stuff about sexuality. And that's a big part of my personality. Another part of my personality is leaning into my voice. And it's not just about boundaries. Having had, early experiences that were having to deal with, violence and all of that, adverse childhood experiences, as they're called. So, right, because of my ACEs, I feel like when I was learning to use my voice, I didn't know if it would be a whisper or a roar. It would just be messy, right? And that's as good as it gets for some people in the performing arts. You're terrified to go on stage, or like Bridget and like some of you are expressing, it happens for you. You show up and it just takes over you, and it's becomes this beautiful thing that is either for yourself or that you're very much enjoying with an audience and community. So we are wrapping up. We've got just a short time left here. So if everyone wants to just go around quickly before we say our final goodbye.
I'll go next, like, because I think that that was a question that really resonated with me. It took me a lot of therapy to get my less self coming out, which is to me is like the vulnerable self. I had to survive so many different states of mind since a child, starting with sexual abuse, and then life goes on being different in a sense of like, oh, she likes theater, but why you're not going to be a doctor? Because I don't want to be a doctor. I want to be, a performer. Hello, I'm a professional dancer, and all that. Then moving to the United States and not speaking the language. Having to clean houses, having to do all the immigrant cliche works that we do. There was a part of me that was never vulnerable because I could not drop the ball. Do not drop the ball. You have to keep on going. And to me, vulnerability is absence of fear. Constant fear fear of being judged, fear of taking the wrong step, to saying the wrong word, not doing the right phrase, not understanding English, all that stuff. So it took a while to, to live in the United States for 26 years. But it was really when I went to Paris and I was put in a space for performance, which are my masters now at Penn Theater Company. And I am in there and they are speaking 5-6 languages and you just have to understand. And he says, go perform. And you say, but tell me, direct me. And he goes, I'm not a direct you. I'm here to be with you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So literally being put, on the edge of the building and say, go.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's an amazing work when a master of theater comes up to you and says, go, just take the freaking chance and just do it. Just jump. And you see that vulnerability is just such an amazing state of mind. Oh my God, I can go forever.
Tell me, Ben. Ben described that. I'm just so moved by just the way that you put language to that. Really, I feel like I have like the best seat here because like the other three panelists, the stuff that each of you has said, I guess I kind of want to just tie up a couple of loose ends here, things that I was thinking about. First, Bobby, I very viscerally connect with the experience you describe of having to walk in and read a room or having to walk in and read an audience, and you walk in and you see a sea of bald men, 600 or 700 people and one table of women, and there's already a conversation and an agreement in your mind about who they are and what they will and will not accept or enjoy or appreciate. And what I'm remembering hearing the way that you're languaging that is all of that took place in your mind. That is all a conversation we're having with ourselves, when for all you know, you clacking that fan might be the thing that like sets someone in that audience free. Like, oh my God, what did I just connect with about that? There's something about that I too want to do that. I want to snap a fan on stage. And Deborah, hearing you talk about like the selves that were imposed on you, like here's who you get to be because you are Brazilian or because you're female or because you're an immigrant. You get to be a housekeeper or you get to be a doctor or you get to be beautiful and fiery and whatever. But then I'm hearing you're like, yeah, but like I woke up on this side of the bed today. Like who I am today is this person. I shouldn't be pointing this out as a source of inspiration, but growing up and watching the movie Sybil with Sally Field, I remember watching her as a kid and she's having a conversation with her inner selves, like, so-and-so, you like music, you should go on the date with this guy. And I was like, is this brilliant? Is this brilliant? Or is this like, are they showing us this because this is how we should, is this an option? It's kind of like the things that people try to sometimes prevent us from. It's like, let me run towards that because maybe I know something the rest of the world doesn't.
I love that.
I do
love
too.
Running too. We've touched on that before during Adulting 101. Running too. So
before we do, Krishan, I just want to say something because I thought Ben brought up a great point because Sybil is still in the air. And I really want to be clear. Sybil has or had dissociative identity disorder. And so it is brilliant in the sense that, yes, bring your musical self to your date, going to the Blues and Jazz Club to see Jen Jade perform. But it's got to be really clear that's trauma-based. There's no such thing as being diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder without trauma. And the difference is she didn't know when she was in a different self. And the healthy is then us being able to do it. And so I'm really glad you brought it up because I think that still makes people fear the healthy aspect that when we get to know our inner selves, then we have more strength. But sadly, what Sybil had was horrific trauma. And I'm so glad you brought that up because I think people get confused about that. You don't get that diagnosis without trauma. It is a trauma-based diagnosis 100% of the time. So
I think
thank
that
you for
also
that.
begs the question, why as a 5-year-old was I being shown Sybil and
Thank you.
Carrie and
Thank you.
Harold and Maude? I don't know why these were the
Absolutely.
films I was raised on.
Right. And we join you in that. Oftentimes it is a bonding piece. I see lots of comedy out there. This has been so amazing, everyone. Thank you so much. This has been another episode of Adulting 101. Check your inner selves with author Bridgit Dengel Gaspard. My name's Kashana Evans. You can catch us every third Thursday of the month for a voice dialogue learning lab. Bridgit goes live on Instagram on the 8th of every month at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And for each of you, please just say a very quick goodbye and where everyone can find you. And Bridgit will have the final goodbye, and we will switch gears to that other interesting thing. So Deborah, please.
Thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful. Oh my God, I learned so much today. You can find me at www.deborahballardini.com. That's DEBORABALARDIN as in Nancy I.com.
Excellent. Thank you. And Bobby?
I just want to say real quick, one thing about the last question is going to be really short. One thing that I've recently learned is that the look at me, wave your hands in the air, look at me method never works. What has worked though is to relax, be myself, and let my light shine without trying to make it shine. That just be yourself, let your light shine. Stop jumping up and down trying to make yourself the star. If you are, it will be. I'm Bobby Blue. You can find me at Bobby Blue Music, Facebook, Instagram, bobbybluemusic.net. Thank you guys for having me. It was really interesting doing this, especially with other creative people. I've never done this before. So thank you so much for asking me. It was great.
Yes. And over to you, Jen.
Hi, guys. In regards to the last question too, I think it's important to challenge oneself in the nuances of getting, I guess, spending more time on the planet. So it's getting younger. And finding the things that are the firsts. I think as time goes on, we forget to look for the firsts. For example, I'm taking my first flight lesson today. I did ground lessons. And today I'm like, okay. And then you find out what the other selves are and the voices that speak to you when you're in your investigation for something you've never spoken before or have any reference to in your waking self. So in that plight, in that pursuit, I found how to regenerate pieces that weren't connected and how to create new synapses for the transmission of what's to come, and it's an avalanche of exploration and nuance. You can find me at Jen Jade Music, JENNJADE MUSIC on Instagram, all social media platforms and handles. And I look forward to sharing a stage or an environment or a hug with you. Merci beaucoup. Enchanté.
Love it. And please, Ben, you are the last one before Bridgit hops in.
Yes.
How can people find you?
Thank you. Okay, I'm unmuted. Ben Strothman here, aka Honey LeBronx, the vegan drag queen. You can find all of my work at vegandragqueen.com. While you're there, check out my play Coming Clean. It is going to be online pretty much till the end of the summer. Comingcleanplay.com. No www. Then you can find me on all social media at Honey LeBronx. That's HoneyLabronx. While you're looking for me, I would say subscribe to my YouTube channel for my cooking show. And I do write parody songs about certain issues. So if you have anyone that needs to learn about white privilege, sometimes you just need a drag queen to sing about it to you. So YouTube Honey LeBronx White Privilege song to the tune of White Christmas.
Wow. Well, I'm so happy that we were all able to get together today, and I'm just inspired. And I think of yet another cliche. I stumbled upon voice dialogue years ago, completely synchronicitously, and it opened me up and changed my life forever. And that cliche that you would do what you do whether or not you got paid, I just feel here it is again today. I learned so much and I'm so inspired. I'm literally on fire. And I couldn't have done it without you guys throwing in the flames. So thank you. And I look forward to being at all your shows and to hugging in person and to finding my voice. I'm just so inspired. Thanks. And thanks, Kashana, for being such a great co-pilot. But maybe we should really think about what Jen's doing and get our own flight lessons.
I